Now, people always ask me for recommendations of cheap and cheerful cars, and my answer to them every time is the same. If you want cheap and cheerful, the best place always is to look at the used car market. But yes, I know there are a lot of you who still can't accept the idea of buying used. So in today's video, I am going to check out, well, a household name in the Malaysian car market that has been synonymous the past 40 years for affordable motoring. Now, the car I'm talking about, of course, is none other than the current generation Proton Saga. Now, I've reviewed this model before last year in this channel, but that particular example I reviewed was Proton's press car in the range-topping 1.3 Premium X automatic trim level. Now, this unit here, on the other hand, is a 1.3 standard model with manual transmission. Now, what particularly fascinated me about this car is that its owner has a BMW E46, he has a Mazda RX-8, he has a Mazda 6 wagon, but the car he could not stop talking about is this newly acquired Saga. So I took the keys off him to find out what about this car that just makes him smile from ear to ear. So at 34,400 ringgit, well, this is not the cheapest brand new car you can buy in Malaysia, but it sure as hell is the cheapest new car that Proton has to offer. Not only that, this is right now the only model, the only variant in the whole of Proton's lineup that comes with the option of manual transmission. You see, well, all the X series, they don't have manual. The new S70, no manual. The Persona and the Iris, well, those previously had manual transmission, but they have been discontinued, and the Exora, well, has been phased out altogether. So if you still like a bit of old school stick shifting fun and you must have a new car, well, this is all Proton has to offer for now. Now, the history of the Saga's manual gearbox is also another story altogether. Back when the BLM model was first launched, that was during the era of the Wajah, of the Gen 2, of the Satria Neo. And remember back then I had a manual Wajah and I had very fond experience of driving that car, because at that time the Campro engine was paired with a Mitsubishi 5-speed manual transmission. But with the Saga BLM, Proton decided to take the manual gearbox from another supplier, and I remember it wasn't a very pleasant gearbox, because the Mitsubishi gearbox that they used in the other Campro models, the Wajah, the Neo and all that, it had a bit of a long throw, but it was precise, right? So gear changing is a very pleasant experience. But with the Saga BLM, the manual was very notchy, very rubbery and all that. When you go into gear, you're not sure whether the gear is even engaged or not. Then later on, when they upgraded the Saga BLM to the Saga FLX, Proton switched their manual gearbox suppliers to Geartrack, because Geartrack also supplied manual transmissions to the Preve as well. So, well, the Saga FLX subsequently had a Geartrack gearbox, and right now here in this latest iteration of the Saga, we have the 1.3 liter VVT engine paired to this Geartrack 5-speed manual transmission. And this is my first time experiencing this transmission in the Saga, and I would say that it brings back fond memories I have of the Wajah, in the sense that every gear, right, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, it's all precise, it's all easy to locate, and when you ram it into the slot, you get that satisfying click, that confidence-inspiring click. You know you have found the gear. So that, to me, is a big factor in enjoying a manual transmission car, because You see, the thing is that, right, a lot of us, we glorify driving manual transmissions to a point whereby we sometimes forgot part of the joys of driving a manual. Yes, it's partly the expression of your skill, but also the experience is a lot richer if the gear change is properly defined and nicely fine-tuned. So here Proton has done a fabulous job with the Saga manual. The gear change experience is fantastic. The only blip in the experience, however, is that at the base of the accelerator pedal there is a hump on the floor, and that sometimes gets in the way when I'm trying to blip the throttle for a downshift, or when I'm attempting to heel and toe approaching a corner. Now, performance wise, well, yeah, it is a manual transmission, so you deal with less power losses compared to an automatic, but make no mistake about it, this car it's not exactly fast. And if you're driving around, pottering around at 2,000-3,000 RPM, remember the old characteristic torque dip of the Campro engine? Well, Proton may have VVT'd this, but it's still there, right? When you are cruising along 2,000-3,000 RPM, and when you suddenly gun it, the gains in acceleration is, well, it's not enthusiastic. The car does not pull with the exuberance. So if you want to make any form of progress, right, as in like rapid progress with the car, you have to push the engine consistently past 4,000 RPMs all the time. Now that is great when you are, going up gunting or tackling the B roads and you're having a baller of a time, but it can get a bit tiring to work with when you're just trying to navigate city traffic. Let's say like right now I'm cruising along at LDP on 4th gear, and I spotted a little gap I want to exploit. Too much work. It's either I have to downshift, put pedal to the metal, and I have to deal with the sound of the engine. I don't have the option of just a gentle flick of the accelerator and the car is able to supply me with the requisite torque. So effortless progress is not in the DNA of this car at all. But the beauty of this car is that once you get it up to speed, once you have the momentum, well, the ride and handling is still a very strong point of this car. Let's put it this way. There is nothing in the new car market, even at twice the price, well, except maybe the Persona and the Iris, that handles with the kind of composure or maturity that the Saga here manages quite effortlessly. So this is a car that you can carry speeds with great confidence. The composure of the chassis is just fantastic, and not only that, the ride quality is sublime. And when I drive this car, it gives me the impression that yes, Proton is not giving you much in terms of creature comforts, in terms of things that wow, but there is no denying the fact that it just feels like a car that is well put together. It's like the engineers took all that savings in other areas and put it into man hours to fine-tune the car's ride and handling. It's like the way when you take this over speed bumps, potholes, joints, whatnot, it just glides over it. So right now I'm facing with a stretch of open road, and it is now only as the engine pulls past 4,000 RPM, and now I'm having to raise my voice, that we are seeing the car make significant progress. But yeah, this is not a car that gives you any form of nail-biting acceleration, but what it does well is that it gives you that composure to, once you have found all that momentum, it gives you the confidence to carry that momentum into a bend, into a corner, right? You see a sweeping bend, You can step on the accelerator with assured confidence that the car is nailed itself down to the road. So what I would say is that the driving experience on offer, this is a car that well, it's slow. Okay, this car is slow, but see, the thing is this: if you are shopping for a car at a modest budget, you just want something to get you around, not in a great hurry. The Saga here is as cheap and cheerful as they come. It's as honest a mode of transport as they come. No frills, no fuss, right? And you know that because it is so mechanically simple, it is so unpretentious. Yes, you need to gun it past 5,000 RPMs to get up to speed. But here's the thing: you can gun it regularly past 5,000 RPM to the red line if you like, without feeling fuss, without feeling stressed, without feeling guilty of punishing the car, because the car feels like it is meant to take that kind of abuse. Now, the Saga also happens to be one of the rare few cars in the market that still has hydraulic power steering. And well, this is of course carried over from the predecessor model. Here's the thing: compared to the BLM, the FLX, the weight of the steering here in the latest one is much lighter. So Proton has evidently traded off some of the feedback, that straight line assuredness of the older car steering, for something that is a bit more wieldy, a bit easier to handle in tight spaces. Because I do remember that when I drove the Saga FLX previously, my impression was that the steering of that car felt a little too heavy for its size. Now, of course, as enthusiasts, we like the feeling of a heavy steering because it makes us feel more involved. It gives us that greater sense of assurance. But for day-to-day driving, you want a slightly lighter weight, so that when you are navigating all the tight roads in town, it's not so tiring an experience. So yeah, now going up the slope, you really don't need to bother shifting at all until without at least 5,000 revs on the clock. Because if you're going up this slope and you suddenly find yourself at 2005, well, your progress is going to suddenly slow down tremendously. So this front face of the Saga has been familiar since the third generation model was launched in 2016, of course with some minor tweaks and adjustments along the way. So with this latest update, you can see that the Proton logo now has the round version here, and the grille has that infinite weave pattern that was introduced with the X series models that is carried on here. Now, the headlights are of course very simple, low budget halogen reflector types, which are, well, not the brightest, but at this price bracket gets the job done. And of course, do bear in mind that if you have a bit of money, you can just change the bulbs to some brighter units, which I think the owner of this car did, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, compared to the Premium X model that I reviewed previously, this strip here was red. Now here it is satin chrome, and this being the standard model, it also misses out on the daytime running light that is found here in the higher spec models. No front fog lights, and yeah, basically still the same clean, unfussed appearance that we are familiar with. Now, as we all know, this third generation Saga basically is a very heavily re-engineered version of the second generation model. But that being said, because the original platform was designed as a sedan in mind, you notice that proportions wise, the Saga is actually quite well balanced. This is in contrast with the Persona that was re-engineered off an iris platform, and its proportions look somewhat awkward from certain angles. As I said earlier, this example is not a Proton official test car, but it is a privately owned vehicle, so the owner has already, well, changed a new set of 15-inch alloy wheels for a bit more Gaia. And this being the base model, you notice that the door handles are unpainted, the frames follow body color, and the side mirrors as well are black. These little details can be something that you can go and do at any spray paint shop, but yeah, proportion wise, I think the Saga is still a very handsome, very well balanced design overall. So here at the back, well, once again, no major changes. So you can see we've got the ducktail spoiler here. Okay, the bumper has the diffuser elements down here. Here at the lower side here, this is all fully unpainted, matte. Well, it's, I would say, for a base model, it still looks pretty respectable. The tail lights are all, well, simple bulb type elements. So this is a case whereby Proton built this car obviously with very simple, very low cost stuff, but all arranged in a nice, no nonsense, very timeless looking design. So now to open the boot, well, there's no release handle here. You either have to use the release that is next to the driver's seat, or you have to use the key fob. Hold and the boot pops up. So at the side here, you can see you've got the old-fashioned gooseneck hinges that are, of course, more economical to make, but do bear in mind they impede into the cargo space. So when you load things here, you have to be careful not to put tall items along this path. Okay, so coming here, I'm 170 centimeters tall. So in terms of space, I'm good, right? Got a fist of headroom above me. Leg room is good, right? Enough space for me to cross my legs. The thigh support is, well, pretty average. It's better than the previous generation Persona, but of course not the level of the Iris and the current generation Persona. Now here in the standard model, there are no seat pockets here, and neither are there the USB ports here at the back. But I believe, once again, this is something that you can add on at local accessory shops pretty soon. So let's go to the front. Okay, so let's step in and we shall start the engine. First, need to step on the clutch before the car allows you to start the engine. So now inside here, as mentioned before, because this is based on the second generation Saga, it's improved from the second generation Saga. You can still see the second generation model's basic architecture, but Proton has basically revised the center stack here to give it a different appearance. But you can see how the previous model still underpins what lies behind. This being the standard model, there is no touchscreen, but what they have is that it mimics a touchscreen. All these are touch sensitive. If you look closely at the volume section, you will see these notches here to let you feel where exactly they are located, so that you don't have to rely on guesswork so much. But these are all touch sensitive with a simple digital display here in the middle. Now this row of buttons are mostly blank, but you do get door lock and unlock button in the middle, which is better than a lot of luxury cars now actually, especially those that put it on one door and not the other. Air recirculation, you've got very simple, very basic manual climate control. So you've got a 12-volt socket and you have got one USB port here, that's it. So in terms of storage space wise, well, pretty generous. I got one tray here. This tray here is pretty deep as well, and you got two, well, pretty shallow cup holders. Here beneath the handbrake lever, you can see that down here there's also a bit of space which you can drop some small items here, and here there's a little storage space as well. So airbag here, dual airbags, and you can see also from here you've got powered side mirrors and power windows on all four sides, even here at the base model. I shall show you here the side. This is, well, key start. This blank button here is for the engine start stop, and this is, well, this is also blank even in the Premium X model. So the instrument cluster, good clarity, simple design, and you've got fuel range. And as I open the door, well, you can show individual door opening, fuel gauge, temperature gauge, right? Two simple dials, very, very straightforward. And here you can see this is the microphone for the Bluetooth audio. So overall, I would say that the Saga 1.3 standard, it does miss out on a lot of amenities that we have come to expect these days of a modern car, but Proton has done the very least to cover the basics. And here's the thing, right? Because the car is already at this kind of budget, this kind of price point, right? You can buy and you can just freely modify it, you know, and put in your enhancements, your personalizations, and whatnot, like the owner of this car has done with the sport rims. You know, I think he has put ultra racing bars, and maybe next time with a bit more budget, he can swap out this head unit for an Android screen or whatever. So the options are all there, and you know, once you put all that in, you have a car. Well, you've got ABS here, okay, you've got door lock and unlock button here, functioning aircon, USB port, and also 4 power windows, powered side mirrors. So still, well, relatively modern and refined. So the Saga 1.3 standard manual, well, for less than 35,000 ringgit, you certainly are getting a lot of car for the money. So it certainly is cheap. But is it cheerful? Well, that depends on how you define cheerful in the context of a car. But in my opinion, there is more to like than to dislike about this car. My only complaint of this car really is the relative lack of pace. You really need to gun it past 4,000 or 5,000 RPM in order to make any form of serious progress on the road, particularly if you're trying to keep up with fast-moving zigzag traffic. That lack of pace, or rather that need to work the engine hard in order to get any form of pace, that can get tiring pretty quickly. But other than that, there's a lot to like. It's a very spacious car, it's well built, it's solid, the ride and handling is phenomenal. It matches anything or exceeds most cars that are sold at double or triple the price range. And if anything, such is the competence and talents of the chassis that it further exposes the engine's lack of power. This car feels like it could have taken the 110 horsepower 1.6 liter Campro engine and be an absolute hoot to drive. But here's the thing, because this car is so basic, you can buy one of these and you can treat it like a project car, pasang whatever accessories you want. Or the other flip side is you can just buy one of these and use it as a workhorse, drive to anywhere. It's basically a car that you can just buy, park one side, and whenever you just need a car to get somewhere, in a tight space or whatnot, this is your car. So in that sense, if you're looking for a car that gets you places, that you can whack hard without remorse, or you can just suka-suka pasang any accessories without needing to worry about voiding warranty, this car certainly meets that definition of cheerful. So do share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the Saga. Well, for about what, 35,000 ringgit, would you just go for one of these, you know, less headache, or would you, in the interest of your driving fund, still go for something a bit more exotic? For the same kind of money, you could buy a BMW E60, a BMW E90, maybe a Mercedes W204 C-Class with a compressor engine. So what would you spend your money on? Let me know in the comment section below. So, of course, if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and also subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so. I'll see you in the next video.